Hey, what's going on, everybody? Because I'm a Fury here. And, it's really, really evident in my brain right now why retro has the waves it has. We have one console out. In a couple days, we have the second one out. And this will be over with for now. Okay? If you don't get yours, I don't know when you're going to get it. Okay? Honestly, there's no rush. But anyway, let me get on to what I'm going to talk about. I understand about this whole thing about the retro wave. The more the genre pushes in the direction that I see being like unnecessary at times, is the more a lot of the people who are real gamers go to a simpler time. We already had one retro wave where older consoles made a surgence when it comes to like collecting games. And I know they're pushing the digital era right now. And I think Microsoft is smart for going with the Game Pass because, look, the retro wave is going to come back again. Okay? Don't feel bad. Don't feel like, I don't have this console. I don't have this. I don't have that. Look, it's like this. If you got existing consoles already, pretty much don't let go of that. I'm going to tell you that now. And as a collector and a gamer, don't let go of it. And you know what made me really wake up to understanding why I feel like the retro wave is coming back and a lot of people who are collectors shouldn't feel a certain way is I have fallen in love with Streets of Rage 4. I've fallen in love with Streets of Rage over again like I was when I was younger. To me, everybody talk about Streets of Rage 2 being the pinnacle. Me, I feel like the first Streets of Rage was my best. And now 4 comes out, I like 4 a lot. So Streets of Rage 1 and 4 are like my two favorite out of the quadrilogy, And I've been falling in love with more simpler games like that because I feel like the more this genre pushes forth when it comes to visuals, the more the gameplay takes a hit. Maybe that's just me. Like, there's only so much you can do on the screen. I want great gameplay. And I feel like the fans who are pro Microsoft and pro Sony are going to just demand just prettiness and not solid gameplay. I mean, hell, it's already been happening on Sony console. Like, come on, stop trying to convince yourself otherwise. It's already been happening on that. Look at all their AAA projects. The gameplay isn't the focal point. Every time I hear somebody brag about a Sony first-party game, guess what they're telling me about? How good it looks. Okay? How good it looks. They're not bringing up the fact that it has a short campaign. Well, not a short campaign, but it pretty much has a one-and-done campaign. They're not bringing up the fact that these games pretty much play the same. I've mentioned that before. Now, I'm mentioning it again, goddammit. They play the same, basically. The stories are driven the same way. And I'm like, you know what? If you're going to keep telling me the same story with a different face paint, I would rather just play a game that doesn't need a story. I would rather play a damn beat 'em up in the fighting game. I would rather play a platformer. Okay? Like, look at Ratchet and Clank. Now, I could play Ratchet and Clank all goddamn day, probably. Because it has a story, but the story ain't going to be the one that smothers it. I don't want a cinematic game. I want a game that can both play good and look pretty. If you're going to be pushing graphics down people's goddamn throats. Give me a game that looks good and plays good. And no knock on a lot of those games that I just mentioned for Sony, but their focal point is how they look. Like, we are in a new generation. Give me a game that can lock in a frame rate, a high frame rate. Okay? I don't give a damn about 4K. I can, fuck 4K, 8K. I don't give a damn about that. Lock me into a solid frame rate with a pretty solid looking graphical presentation. I don't want 4K, 8K. I can give a shit about that. A lot of people can't afford those TVs. And then you're telling people when they do buy 4K, oh, that 4K ain't real 4K. They ain't strong enough to handle this TV and the refresh rate and all this other stuff. And I'm like, look, stop beefing with PC people, because you pretty much are pushing these consoles to be more PC than ever. PC and console have their reasons. PCs are for people who can afford to optimize and enhance their playing format, whereas consoles lock you into a certain performance, just certain. You know, some people, I know it changes throughout the lifespan. That's because more people know how to tap and learn how to tap further into the console's full potential, but it doesn't go beyond that maximum output that has been given to you on paper. It doesn't go past that. Stop thinking that it can compete on a graphical level with a PC. You know, we got retards like Harmon Smith talking this crap about PC. I'm like, shut the fuck up, dude. Just shut up. You make no goddamn sense. None whatsoever. Consoles are for people who can't afford PC but want gaming experiences that are great. Stop thinking that you're going to match with that. Okay? Stop it with the whole thing. It's not happening. Take the fact that you have a box that can play to a maximum potential that it's allotted on the box. This is it. Now it's going to get better, and it's going to reach that limit as time goes on to what it's been given. But PC is just for, it's as wild as your budget allows it to be. So I'm just sick of this whole thing with it. Anyway, like I started this video out saying, retro is making a comeback to a simpler time where gaming was just really focused on gaming. Even if the retro period picks up in a later generation, it's just the fact that games just about 10 years ago offered much more than they offer now. And you know, you saw it coming gradually. If you look back about how the whole game industry is just very micro monetized. And I'm like, you know what? Give me a game that doesn't rely on that so much at all. Like, look at Streets of Rage 4, like I mentioned. Don't need that. It's simple, fun, to the point, and it's still challenging. You can unlock things in the game. You don't have to buy microtransactions. There's 4-player beat 'em up online. There's a lot of value in that game. Okay, I'm not saying, oh my God, buy the game, no, I got it on Game Pass. See, that's another good thing. That gives me a combination, that gives me access to new games and older games. And a lot of people don't understand. You're going to be paying a lot of money this generation. You know why? Because neither the Series X or the PlayStation 5 is going to have decent SSD hard drive space. And then you heard that the SSD on the PS5, you can't store games on the external yet. I don't know if that's going to be changed, but that's fucking ridiculous. They better change that shit. They better. This generation has been disappointing me the more and more I hear about everything, okay? The more and more I hear about the hardware, as powerful as it may be, the things that it can't do is going to cost us money. Lots of it, y'all. Especially if you want an external SSD and you want to save your games. You're going to have to cycle through that. They got to do something about that, y'all. People talking about, oh, Microsoft, you got to pay $230 for the SSD drive, for the external SSD drive. And I'm like, yeah, that's a lot of fucking money. But guess what? At least you can do that. On Sony, you can't do that. You can't save games on that. That makes no fucking sense. You could do it on a PS4. Why can't you do it on a PS5 from day one? Now, hopefully they will change that. I don't know. But this is another reason why I'm so disappointed in this current generation. And I could call it that because the Series X is out now, and the PS5 will be out in 2 days from when I drop this video. So I don't want to hear shit. Like, I'm just done with it. I would rather play a beat 'em up game. I would rather play a game I played in the past. Hell, like, this is why I'm fucking with Game Pass right now. Cause Game Future ain't got shit for me right now. It's just more and more money. More and more robbery of content, you know? But I like how people complain. Oh, they remade Resident Evil 3 and so much was cut from it in comparison to the original version. You've been getting robbed for years, people. You want to complain about Resident Evil 3 and Resident Evil 2 remakes. But you be getting robbed for years and you've been like really happy with it. Anyway, yo, I'm just done. I'm done with this video right now because I'm a Fury. I'm out. Peace.